Unspoiled Network podcast.
This is Unspoiled, covering The Dark Tower, Book 5, Wolves of the Calla, Part 3, Chapter 7, The Wolves. See this now and see it very well. Poor Ben Slightman's arm flying through the air. Welcome to Unspoiled. Welcome to the show, everyone.
I see it. I can see the arm.
I'm Natasha.
I'm Miles, and I really am excited to talk about this chapter with you.
Oh, man.
I definitely agree that Benny dying is a bummer, and, like, a suitable thing to talk about. Did not think you were going to lead with that in the intro.
I am definitely going to lead with that. Absolutely. Right. Because, listen, it is just such a motherfucking Stephen King thing to do, isn't it? Isn't it? He's going to be like, oh, I'm going to give you this victory, and your guys are going to all be badass, completely competent. These women are going to be amazing at their jobs, and only one of them is going to die out of, like, the number they were up against. Isn't that great? Mm. Also, this poor innocent kid that's Jake's best bud that Jake makes up with in essence 30 seconds before the battle begins is going to lose his life in the most brutal fucking way in this moment of real horror. And I'm just going to let that cast a pall over the whole thing. And it just feels so like I should have seen that coming. I should have. And I just didn't even think of it. I feel like it's so his style to kind of, take the person that it feels like should be getting punished, for lack of putting that in the most simple terms, and instead punishing somebody close to them who's completely innocent.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things. There are a lot of things about this chapter and about the way this all goes down that I really don't like. Mm-hmm. And obviously I hate that Benny's dead, but the way he sets us up for it, mm-hmm. by being like, hey, the traitor's gonna go out a hero, he's gonna die, but he's gonna, like, save the day or some shit, mm-hmm. right? Like, check it out. Oh, wait, no, sorry. He's not going to die at all. His kid's going to get murdered for no reason. Not being a hero, not nothing. Just got scared because he saw somebody decapitated, jumped out of the ditch, and gets blown to pieces. Yeah, that's it. No real reason.
And that's what I mean, is that the way he set it up as he did, it's something that is so classically his kind of sense of humor. Almost. That's an odd way to say it, but that's how I feel about it, is that King was setting that up and cackling and rubbing his hands together. And, I should have known, especially because he sets up so often and makes sure to point out repeatedly that Jake and Benny are just not the same. That they're buddies and they really are close and they're friends, but Benny's a kid and he has stayed a kid. And putting him in the trench, he's in the trenches with the fighters, is not going to go the same way for him as it is for Jake. Yeah. So there's so many sorts of moments where he's kind of like warned you, but yeah, so everything was super badass, but I'm like mad about that. I'm pissed off.
The fact that Jake comes like so close to saving his life but could not have come any closer is also really, like, that's a gut punch. And it is a gut punch. Benny dying is awful, and you feel so bad, and, like, the effect that it has on Jake is ridiculous and, like, simultaneously it's written in a way that's like, holy shit, Jake's now a badass, but at the same time it's like, oh shit, well, there he goes. Like, there goes the kid.
Mm-hmm.
Not there anymore. You know? And it's a horrible thing, but at the same time...
Yes. Use your words.
2 people died.
Mm-hmm.
2 people?
Listen, you're acting like the Falcon over here.
The what?
The Falcon?
Oh, the Falcon?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Like
even the grief was, there was a note of joy behind it, and everyone seemed to feel that the losses were not anywhere near the same level as the gains, and Jake supposed that was true if that wasn't your wife and your kid.
Well, yes, of course, but as a reader, from a reader's perspective,
from your perspective,
from my perspective as a reader, as one person reading this book, I found it really anticlimactic.
So, did you expect more people to die?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I expected more people to die also, especially because of when the dying started, they called that Ka too.
So yeah,
you
so
know,
that is the biggest piece of bullshit right there. I'm gonna read it right now. Where is that fucking passage? I read it again today, and it made me mad all over again when I went back and read it. Okay, at first everything went according to plan, and they called it Ka. When things began going wrong, which they really didn't, and the dying started, which, you know, did it start?
Mm-hmm.
Or did it happen twice and then end? They called that Ka too. So it's like, he builds it up, and this whole fucking book has been about building up to this battle. And, like, the odds they're up against, and will the plan work? And everything works.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that goes wrong is a kid breaks his ankle. And as a result of the kid breaking his ankle, another kid dies.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret Eisenhart is the only one to go down, which it's never really explained why. She just happens to get hit.
Yeah, she she bends and pops up without really checking her sides, I think is what it is.
There's no like story of the fight. Like, there's no narrative progression through this combat. It's like, and then they killed them.
What I love about this is that, because we are, like, I totally agree with you, but we are coming at this from very different places, where I felt it was anticlimactic as well, except that King basically was like, oh, I'm not going to have a bunch of people die. I'm just going to make, like, one of the 2 deaths a really cruel and unnecessary feeling one.
It's going to be the worst thing.
And which almost feels cheap. I'm not going to really say it's cheap. I'm not going to take a stand on that too firmly. But I'm going to side-eye him pretty hard. And he's going to have to work to get back my trust as a reader. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Because it really feels like he didn't want to make the sacrifice of having too many people go down. So he decided to zero in on what he thought would hurt the most to read. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that feels just sort of manipulative. And yeah, everything goes pretty much exactly to plan. And when it's over, I was shocked that it was actually over. And I know part of it is that he wants it to go really well so that everybody's like high on their success and Susanna can wander off and they won't notice. So he wants the real conflict. He wants us to think that the wolves are the big conflict when really he's making it be this like thing with Ben and the aftermath with Susanna. And
that's the thing is,
you know, it just feels like a weird way to go after this whole book didn't feel like a lot happened.
Yeah.
And then to have this thing, as you say, that he's built towards, just kind of just go great. It just went to plan.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't decide if, like... I can't decide if it's commentary on battle, or if it's just, like, he wanted to get to the part that actually interested him. Mm-hmm. and he didn't know how else to get there. I don't know exactly. It's just like, again, and you know, we do this all the time, and I'm going to apologize every time for it, but like Game of Thrones shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the battle scenes in those books are fucking gripping.
Yeah, they are.
Because it's like, and just like this one, they're told from the perspective, generally, of like the generals, the people in charge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this battle scene is told completely from the perspective of gunslingers.
Right.
So, you know, you would think that if we're in Roland's head, that we would have space and room for, like, how's the battle going? Do we need to change tactics? What's happening over here? You know, there's the... In you know, the way Martin writes battle scenes, like, the battle is a miniature story in and of itself, which I think is one of the reasons they're so excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Is because, like, power shifts, and this thing goes right, but this thing goes wrong, and this thing goes wrong means this thing goes wrong, and then what happens, and now what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, you know, or you think of, like, the Tower of Joy. You know, the fact that, you know, that fight involved how many people? 12?
Yeah.
And 2 of them walked away? Like, that is, you know, that tells me that's an intense fight. That was something legendary.
And that's kind of what I feel like King isn't willing to make that kind of sacrifice.
Yeah.
And when I was talking about this series, because Money, who hosts the Buffy show, he had a problem with Dark Tower, and he felt like so much of it was just too convenient and was hand-waved as being Ka or magical or, oh, our world and that world have some like overlaps, and that explains it.
Right.
And he got really frustrated at feeling like the stakes weren't there because he always knew something magical would happen or somebody would be able to use their power and fix it or speak to somebody or whatever. And initially, the first few books, I didn't feel that way. Like, I got what he meant by it, but it worked for me.
Yeah.
And here is where I'm seeing that it doesn't work. And he didn't even get this far. So I can only imagine if he had reached this, how irritated he would be. Because it really does feel like we're told that these things are this enormous threat. And then what it comes down to is just playing whack-a-mole.
Yeah, it's really just like, hey, our plan worked and everybody's great.
And everybody's aim was true. I don't think there's a single description of somebody missing.
No, there isn't.
Everybody hits their target first try.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you don't even need a bunch of deaths, but have some injuries, have some close calls. It doesn't even feel like that. Benny is the one. And to kind of, like I said, it feels like he's the one on purpose. And I don't know.
He's there on accident. Like, he's not even a battle casualty, really. He was never supposed to be there.
I think that's part of it, too. Is that he's like, oh, I'm going to do this thing that you would never expect because you didn't even know this kid was going to be there. Like, there are so many levels of why you wouldn't have thought this is how it would go.
And like, I want to stress, I'm okay with a battle scene like this, but not when the entire book has been leading up to this battle.
Yeah.
Everything has been leading up to this. And it feels like it's over in 5 minutes, and Benny's death is, and like to a much lesser extent, Margaret Eisenhardt's, is supposed to be enough. Mm-hmm. You know, like, that's supposed to be the entire, not payoff, but like the stakes.
Right.
Are just all in these 2 characters who we met for the first time in this book, as much as Benny's great. I love him. Mm-hmm. Like, we haven't spent a lot of time with either of them, and aside from them dying, both of them kind of out of nowhere and with no real story consequences or results. You know, aside from, you know, obviously there's going to be implications on, like, Jake's character, but you know, they didn't die for any reason. They didn't die saving the day. They didn't die for any narrative purpose. They just died, and it just, like, for that to be your whole, you know, for us to have invested this entire book in this scene, and for it to just like kind of
fizzle.
go out with a whimper like that.
And one of the things, it's like a small, but it made me so mad, was when they're like, well, I mean, how many of them do you think are left that we didn't kill? And Roland's like, oh, I wouldn't think too many. And that's it. That's as much information as we get, is Roland's best guess, which for some reason he seems very confident in his guess, but we don't know why he would be. There's not really any evidence to suggest that he's correct. He just assures anyone who's in the town, and thus the readers, that this one victory is all it's going to take. And that after this, they don't need to worry about it too much.
He says, now you know how to kill them.
Right. And that, for me, was also, it felt way too easy. Like,
yeah.
It's just like this one battle with these things that are working for something that we've never heard of before, called the Breakers. Mm-hmm. And that's just it? These things that have like a psychic power, but we're not worried about it?
Should we go over the conversation that Roland had with Ben Slightman here?
Yeah,
that is
sure.
Almost as long as the battle itself.
Yeah, right.
So, on their way over, Roland is sitting with Ben Slightman on the wagon as they're heading toward it. And Ben Slightman is like, I know you know that I'm the traitor. Mm-hmm. So, let's just get it over with. Like, what are you going to do to me? Mm-hmm. And they have this conversation, and Roland is like thinking to himself, you know, that's the first question that needed to be answered before I do something to him. The second one is, would you have killed Jake if you found him in the Dogan that night when he heard you? Mm-hmm. And he basically says, like, if this dude says, no, I wouldn't have, essentially, like, if he lies to me,
right?
Like, I'm going to shoot him.
Yep. And he doesn't lie. He's as honest about it as he could be.
Yeah. And then there's a whole thing where, like, he, you know, he says, all right, where is it? Let me see, because this is definitely, you know, new significant information here that Slightman is conveying.
Yeah.
Where are you?
Yeah, I'm looking through the Kindle version, so it's not going to be the same. But I can read it. I found it if you need.
Go for it.
I did it for my son, Slayman said. Andy came to me and said they would surely take him. Somewhere over there are poor creatures called breakers, prisoners. Andy says they're telepaths and psychokinetics, and although I can neither word, I know they're to do with the mind. The breakers are human, and they eat what we eat to nourish their bodies, but they need other food, special food, to nourish whatever it is that makes them special. And it's something... the food is something only twins have, something that links them mind to mind. And these fellows, not the wolves, but they who send the wolves, take it out. When it's gone, the kids are idiots. Runt. It's food, Roland. Do you ken it? That's why they take them, to feed their goddamn breakers. Not their bellies or their bodies, but their minds. And I don't even know what it is they've been sent to break. The two beams that still hold the tower, Roland said. Mm-hmm. So that's like a giant revelation. And I'm not super impressed with just hearing it secondhand and not like finding out anything about this. Like,
yeah.
You know, in a real way, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like, God, I don't know. Not spoiling anything, obviously, but the way the next two books go, like knowing how this ends, this book feels like he was just like, he wrote it while he was trying to figure out what he was going to do.
Honestly, that is sort of like, and I know that I bring up my own writing a lot, which probably doesn't sound like legit considering I've never actually really written anything really. But I have done so much writing that has resulted in me realizing that I wrote that for myself. Yeah. And not because it's actually going into the book. And that this part is for me to understand better the motivations of certain people or characters or the histories of a place. And it doesn't need to be told. And I think that is Stephen King's like number one problem as an author, is that editors are not being straight with him the way they need to be because of the power that he has to sell. So he has these, like, the book that I did for the book club last year, A Bag of Bones, had these enormous structural problems that it was like the whole first half of the book just didn't matter. It just straight up, you forgot about it. Once you got to the end of the book, you were like, oh yeah, and that whole thing. And that's kind of how I'm feeling with this, is that, like, if you could take out 30% of the meeting people around the town, trying to ingratiate themselves, the, like, you know, kind of petty interactions and whatever, and the long info dumps, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And make this so much tighter, and it would be much more gripping, and have this, like, battle be towards, like, not so close to the end, not the very last chapter. Have it be 2/3 in, and then have them, like, capture somebody who tells them about this information.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, having it come from Ben this way feels like nothing. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there are some things. There are many things in this book that have implications on future books. Like, I don't want to say this book is irrelevant by any stretch, but I just feel like by the time he got to the end, he was like, okay, let's move on. Like, I'm ready. I know what I'm doing. Let's, you know. But now I've set up this battle scene, so, like, he's dropping this information, you know, like, hinting at future stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But he knows that he has to get this out of the way because the whole book is the premise of the book is we're fighting this battle.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, again, there are no stakes. I mean, nobody even gets hit.
Right. This is what I mean. There's not even an injury.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah. I'm not trying to say it's irrelevant either. I'm just like, structural changes should have been made.
Yes.
I mean, even something as simple, and this might sound weird, but, like, having the battle with the wolves happen before we find out all about Father Callahan and go back to New York and deal with Calvin Tower.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Then you wouldn't feel like the entire book had been building to this point. You'd get the battle over, and then you would feel like they had these moments to really get to know another character, get their backstory, learn about the, you know, number 13, and then right after they've learned about it and feel like, okay, we've completed our task and we're on our way out, then Susanna disappears with it.
Right.
And that would have, I think, felt a little bit more... I just feel like it was so oddly done. How he's having her in the middle of this battle, have this internal battle, and we're supposed to have, like, the whole way that he handled what was going on with her felt really frustrating because everybody knows and isn't telling her about it. She seems to know something's going on, but we're never in her head.
Right. And now all of a sudden she can, like, communicate to this other person?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is something, if you're going to have this new thing where she can, like, kind of talk to it and she kind of knows, that would have been something I would have loved to read about, is her going back and forth with it. And then this big moment in the battle with her, like, fighting it back down wouldn't have felt like it came out of total nowhere and was just like another kind of cheap move.
I honestly think that the problem with this book is that it's just bizarrely paced. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all this, he front loads all the stuff about Susanna's pregnancy into the beginning, and as soon as everyone understands that she's pregnant, they don't even mention it again until right now.
Right.
Like, barely mention it anyway. You know? And, like, so all that stuff comes at the beginning. We get, like, these long, like, the story of Father Callahan is long.
Yeah, it is.
It's real long.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, and then they're going back and forth back to New York, but then they're coming back here because they got to fight this battle. It's like, and then the battle lasts 2 seconds. It's just like, it's not bad. It's just, it makes you go like, what? Why
Mm-hmm.
did you do it this way? Like,
Yeah.
because I don't see the upside.
And talking about Susanna again, it's not just that, like, having her suddenly have this confrontation internally and be able to communicate with Mia, it feels strange to suddenly have that be a thing. But also, what it comes down to really is that Susanna's story has not seemed to matter in any way other than how would it fuck up Roland's plans. And I think there is a difference between making it clear that's how Roland sees this. Not that he's worried about Susanna, but that he's worried about how her possibly going into labor will ruin his plan.
Uh-huh.
And making the reader feel like that's the only reason you care about it either. Because I think that's kind of what King did, is he wound up making the reader feel like her pregnancy didn't matter, except for how it might fuck the overall plan up. And that's not a great place to be. With a character that we should care about as much as Susanna, we should care on its own merit because we like her and want her to be okay.
And we do.
And we do, like, just because, but not, he didn't really do anything to, like, earn that in this book.
Not in this book, for sure. I think he's relying a lot on our, like, leftover affection for her.
Exactly.
Which is good, because that's strong. Like, I love Susanna, and I'm invested in her throughout the book, but it's like, but she really is, like, I don't know. You know what I don't know what to make of? Really?
What's that?
I don't know what to make of the fact that she throws the dish instead of shooting guns.
Thank you. I was about to ask that, actually. Like, is it just that they don't have enough guns? Because I wasn't aware that we had a shortage happening. I thought everybody had one.
So, oh God, I'm trying to remember now, because I feel like, so Roland had the 2, right, that he came with. Jake brought 1 in. I think there might have only been 3. But even if there were only 3, so between you guys finding out that you were going to have to fight this battle in which you were super outnumbered and actually fighting the battle, you may or may not have found a doorway into other worlds
where you could get
have
a fucking
easily
gun.
Acquired a bunch of guns.
And this is like, okay, so I'm going to get on my soapbox here for a minute. Forgive me, everyone.
Go for it.
But this is what I tend to find really frustrating with female characters in a lot of different mediums, is that the female characters are often not allowed to occupy the same space as the male characters. They can be in the story and they can be important at moments, but they never really, like, if it's sort of your typical, especially adventure and sci-fi stuff, a lot of times let's face it, we have 3 dudes and 1 woman, which is very typical in one of these, like,
now 4 dudes, because Callahan's basically with them now.
There you go. And with stories like this, that's super common, like to the point where women who have tried to write an even number of 2 boys and 2 girls have reported being asked, well, can we turn one of the girls into a guy?
Yeah.
Like, it's just a thing. So
it's been happening forever.
Forever. I mean, even something as stupid as Jumanji, the remake that's going to be coming out.
Yeah. It
starts out with 2 boys and 2 girls, and then when they transfer over, one of their characters has been transformed into a man. They can't even fucking maintain it for this. Like, and it's supposed to be played as a joke, but, like, come on, we know why.
I mean, it's always like that. I mean, the girl is a character in these ensemble stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a reason it's the girl. It's because there ain't no more.
And so for Susanna, her huge conflict at this point is this mystical pregnancy is already a strike against it.
Yeah.
2, that she's being kind of pushed off with the women and throwing dishes, which it's really cool that he had the women basically defend the men in this story and them have this sort of warlike aspect that the men didn't really want to acknowledge, and I appreciate that.
And they're, like, super good at it.
But to shunt Susanna over there makes it really feel like she is first and foremost a woman before she's a gunslinger.
Right.
And that's really annoying. Third of all, to have her pregnancy be this main thing that is potentially really going to fuck everything up, and yet we never get her POV, and we never get an actual, like, there is nothing for us to latch onto to really know how Susanna feels about any of this.
Yes.
Everything is told third person through other men's eyes. And there's even a conversation between Roland and Father Callahan about whether she's allowed to abort, where she's not even fucking part of the conversation, which is super typical. Yeah. And I want to give King credit and say that this is him making commentary, but it's not. It's just how he wrote it. And I know that. And I'm sure we all kind of know that, right? Like, and it's just really, and even, okay, so there's this tiny moment, and it's not a big deal, really. But, like, there is a moment, and this is why I get so mad, man. Little things about the way that he writes. When one of the twins that's across with Jake and Ben breaks his leg. Yeah. Jake mentions how he's, like, the way it's written is that Jake saw everything with the clear coldness of the gunslinger's eyes. And he saw that this kid's, like, had, like, spittle on his face and his wide eyes. And he saw the curve of the sister's new breasts as she lay on top of him to protect him.
Wait, what? Did it really say that? Did I miss that?
Mm-mm. And I'm finding it right now so that I can read the exact quote.
Hold on. I don't remember that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, it's like, really?
I'm trying to find exactly where it is. Because it's right after the moment where he breaks it.
Hold on, now I see it. Holy shit, yep. Jake saw everything with a gunslinger's cold, clear vision. The blood splashed on the rock, the clump of hair stuck in it, the foot in the hole, the spittle on Frank Tavery's lips, the swell of his sister's new breast as she lay awkwardly across him. I read right past that.
Like, what the fuck?
Wow.
And this is, like, King is better than most when it comes to women characters, and this still fucking happens. The girl is supposed to be, what, like, 11? You know? Why?
Thereabouts, yeah.
Why? Just maybe don't, guy. It's really not that hard.
It's so easy to not do that. I don't understand it. Yeah, well, okay, so I definitely want to, like, revisit this, like, as we go through the next book, because the next book is called Song of Susanna. Mm-hmm. So I want to, this is a conversation that I think we're going to be coming back to. But I do definitely want to say just one more thing regarding the whole her throwing the dish thing. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, there is a way, again, is what we were talking about before. Like, there is a way, there's a world in which that works in this book. And that world is, if the point is, here's how I see it. Like, we only have 3 guns. Mm-hmm. There are no other guns in this town. Mm-hmm. There's definitely not a cave we can go to another world and get more guns. First of all.
Right.
We have no access to that.
Not just for Susanna either. You could get all these women guns. But I guess guns. I guess the idea is probably that they'd be hard pressed to train these women to use guns if they already all know how to throw the dish.
Like, sure, that's fine. Whatever. Get Susanna some guns.
Get Susanna, for God's sake.
It's easy. And then, so no doorway cave, no way to get more guns. We need to arm one of our gunslingers because we need everybody on deck, which means we need somebody throwing these plates. Susanna, it's going to be you because, like, we don't want to offend anybody. Mm-hmm. Like, the women doing this is kind of a cultural thing. Any of us could do it. Any of us would be fine with it. We're going to give this job to you because it's kind of, you're fitting in more this way, and everybody's going to be way more cool with it if we do that.
Right.
Just say it. I think, would have been okay.
Mm-hmm. And I think that might be part of what King intends us to believe.
I think so, too. But just, like you said, just say it.
Just say it. Like, I don't know. I get real frustrated with this because Susanna has so much potential. And like you said, the next book is named for her. So I'm hoping that he kind of pulls it out again and like gets back into the groove with it, because I'm feeling some kind of way.
Yeah. No, I think, and like, judging from the conversations I've had with people about this book, this is like, everybody's like, oh yeah, the Susanna pregnancy. Oh, yeah, that part, that was not great. And
Just...
like, I have so many feelings about it that I can't say right now. But
it just, like, there's just so much in women's lives already that makes us feel like our ability to have children and the children themselves are always more important than who we are. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it comes first in so many people's minds, that to have that eclipse Susanna as a character, it's like, what, she wasn't enough? There wasn't enough potential with just her? You had to do this? Really?
And that's the problem, because this right now, this is not a story about Susanna being pregnant. This is a story about a woman being pregnant. Mm-hmm. It's the difference between this and, like, the Black Widow thing in Age of Ultron. Mm. That was about that character.
Right.
And it's okay for that character to have to be going through that and to have these issues, because it is about her and who she is.
Yeah, everybody who had a problem with the Black Widow pregnancy thing can get bent, because y'all don't understand what even was happening there then. Yeah.
But, like, in this case, it's like she like you said, she's totally subsumed. It's, you know... I really... Like, why couldn't any of this book have been from her perspective?
You know what would have been great? Fucking Roland fucked a demon. Like, get Roland pregnant. How about that, bitches?
That is some Octavia Butler shit right there.
It's a demon. Demons, God knows how that works, so sure. Dude could probably get pregnant. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Surprise!
I would love it so much. That'd be so good. Alright. So we covered a lot of this, you know. I think we have some stuff to talk about. Mm-hmm. So let's start. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just thinking about, like, what haven't we covered? We covered Benny talking with Roland about the breakers we didn't really, like, get into.
Right.
I don't know what to think about that, though. There's not a lot of information there. It's just what Ben heard from Andy, which that's not really super reliable, I wouldn't think. Even if it is reliable, it's not enough information to be going on. Like,
I love the bit where, like, he says, Roland asks him about that Finley Otego dude, and Slightman is like, I think he's a Tahine. Do you know what that is? And Roland's like, no, do you?
And he's like, no. Like, what good are you, dude?
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't bring this up.
What I want to talk about, what were you going to bring up?
The Sneeches?
Yeah. Okay. Can we talk about the fact that the wolves are fucking Doombots
with lightsabers
and fucking Harry Potter golden snitches that explode?
And I mentioned, I was like, Sneeches, little tiny balls that fly. Was this written before or after Harry Potter? And I looked it up and everything. I had no idea.
To shut up so hard.
And then like the wolves, I have seen many illustrations on DeviantArt and whatnot, and every time I was like, this looks like Dr. Doom. Every time. I didn't think that was like the thing.
It's the thing.
Yep, it is.
They are Doombots with lightsabers that throw exploding golden snitches at you.
I mean...
And this is all super explicit. They name all those properties.
Yeah. What a weird... It's almost like like somebody cut a hole in Ready Player One and a tiny bit of it leaked out into this book for a second. But yeah, I don't know what to make of that. And I love that, like, the serial number was like, I don't know what the numbers themselves, it might be the publication date or something, but then it was like HPJKR.
Oh, yeah,
was like the last 5 letters.
It's 46511AA.
I wonder what that is.
HPJKR, I'm not sure.
Might be like the Dewey Decimal number for it.
Maybe.
Or the ISBN number. But yeah, I like that. The fact that that was actually a thing, and it's so like frustrating because we know it's a thing, but the characters don't because they weren't alive
Right.
yet. And
I love when Jake's like, I wonder who Harry Potter is. Probably the guy who invented them.
oh, and then yeah, Eddie is the one who recognizes the lightsabers.
Yes.
Because nobody else has gotten there yet either.
Which, I love the detail about how Jake left in 77. And, like, Star Wars was out, but he hadn't seen it yet.
Bless his heart. He missed it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a weird thing. And, again, I don't... Like, this is the kind of stuff that I am not sure if it matters. Because it feels like it should. But there's a lot of things that feel that way. And kind of don't wind up not really mattering. There might be like a passing explanation. But, you know, and part of me kind of doesn't want an explanation. Mm-hmm. Do you get me? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes it's just more fun to just be like, God, I wonder how the fuck that happened.
It's like, well, that was weird.
Yeah, you know? And I don't really necessarily need to be spoon-fed the whole... Not everything needs an origin story, guys. Just gonna put that one out there for...
As the film industry is just beginning to learn.
Yeah, guys. Sometimes the origin is real boring. And then there are things like Iron Fist, where why didn't you do an origin story? Why did you do I'm back in New York and am not using my superpower almost any episode?
Oh, man, I haven't seen that, and I feel no desire
Miles,
to do it.
Do yourself a favor, and if you do watch it, make sure you are either really high, pretty drunk, that there's a lot of people with you.
Gotcha.
So that you can make fun of it. And have it be a background thing that you have on while you, like, play D&D or something. Like, don't be watching it. Be absorbing it as background noise. While you do something that's much more interesting, hopefully. Even just play Go Fish, for God's sake.
Do you have, like, cameras in my house to mention, like, being high, being drunk, and playing D&D as all things I might do? Like, what? How are you learning these things?
I just made an educated guess. I know my peoples. But yeah, that show is one of those that I just put on when I was, like, folding laundry and editing and stuff, like, you know, doing a million other things, and you don't need to focus on it because hardly anything fucking happens until like the last 3 episodes when it suddenly gets interesting and then it ends. And you're like, oh, all right.
Truly the wolves of the Calla of Marvel
right,
Netflix
a little
shows.
bit. A little bit. They drop all this interesting information and these, like, actually somewhat decent, like, fight scenes after dragging it out for 10 episodes before that. Anyway, this is not an Iron Fist show, thank God. But, yeah.
I feel like, I'm trying to think. I actually almost had to watch Iron Fist because it was part of a poll for the Smash Fiction bonus content to see what I was going to rant about.
Nice.
Iron Fist lost that poll to Terminator 2, but
oh, okay.
But if I had won, I would have had to watch it.
I kind of wish they'd made you just because.
I know. We'll put it on at the end sometime. I still haven't seen, like, I've still literally only seen the first season of Daredevil and Jessica Jones. I haven't seen any other stuff.
Jessica Jones is definitely the best one.
Yeah.
The second season of Daredevil really falls off at about, like, the 2/3 mark. Mm-hmm. But The Punisher, now that was good. Those of you listening who don't know this, Unspoiled Network has a Punisher show being hosted by Jamie and Krista. Hi, Jamie and Krista, if you're listening.
Hi.
I haven't gotten a chance to listen to it yet, but it's one of the... Like, I keep saying this, though, because they started Vampire Diaries, and I was like, oh, I'm totally going to listen to that, because that Vampire Diaries is, like, one of those dumb fun shows, and I haven't listened to anything. Like, I just, you know... So, I really want to listen to their Punisher show, because that was... And it's kind of a weird spot I'm in because normally Marvel stuff I watch with Owen, and he hasn't seen it yet. So I'm over here spoiled on it with nobody in my house to talk to about it.
I'm hesitant about that one because I am not at all a fan of the Punisher as a character. Like, in comics.
I think that might be why you like it.
That's kind of what I've been told.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested. You know, I mean, Sharon and I are behind on 10 million things, so we're like, you know, I'm sure we'll get to it eventually in like 5 years. It's
so much more emotional and honest than I expected it to be. I thought it was going to be a very, an excuse to John Wick it up.
Yeah.
Which, don't get me wrong, I love John Wick. Like, that's fun. But that's not worth, like, a 12-episode arc, you know? And I was sort of going into it expecting it to be really over the top and kind of to lose my interest at a certain point. And it is over the top, but in a way that feels very, very real and upsetting and human. And it was completely unexpected. I cried like 4 times watching that show, and I don't cry at TV shows like almost ever.
Yeah.
And there were a couple moments where they have some actors, and it's not even like, Frank, that they just got lucky with who they cast. And these stories, it's a lot. If you are looking for a fun show that's just like, superheroes beating guys up, that's not the one you want to watch. You want to go to Daredevil or like, maybe Luke Cage, even though I wasn't a big fan of the second half of that.
Mm-hmm.
But Punisher is what you want if you are looking for something that's got a plot you can really sink your teeth into and some very frank questions, pun intended, about what is worth being angry enough to murder people over. And when is that cool to do? When is it not cool to do? Is it ever cool? And what, like, are you... there's just a lot of questions that they ask you, and they don't really give you an answer, and I like that. So,
all right, well, I'll look forward to watching it then. I'll definitely
anyway, that's my plug for Punisher, guys. I wrote and directed
the Punisher
show. Anyway, so yeah, back to the Sneetches. That's crazy. Yeah. Fucking poor Ben too. A little kid got killed by a golden snitch.
Killed by Harry Potter.
It's messed up.
By the way, do you think there's a reason why he called him a Sneetch instead of a snitch?
Like, it got lost in translation somewhere?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like,
it's an oral history.
He did, or you mean like in the fiction? I thought with King, like it's like, well, it's a Sneetch, right? And his editor's like, yes, sir, of course, sir.
Oh, that would have been way funnier, actually. That didn't occur to me, but because I was thinking that it was either who's the person who tells them that they're called Sneetches? Isn't the grandfather?
Even know. Yeah, maybe.
So maybe he misheard, but it says Sneetch on the label.
On the box, yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's that they just don't have like the actual texts anymore, and they have to use movies or something.
Oh, yeah.
Which would be kind of interesting.
Something got lost somewhere, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I kind of would have liked if they got to see the label on one of the sabers, because enough of them, like, they all fall, right? All of the wolves get looted. Yeah. So I would have liked if they checked into that too. You
know, now I'm worried about this town all of a sudden.
What do you mean? Like, just because they are all wandering around with fucking lightsabers and shit?
Everybody's got a fucking lightsaber and a bunch of, like, boxes of exploding bombs.
Yep. Make cutting firewood stuff a lot easier, though.
Like...
Womp.
I'm just imagining, like, overcharge me, will you? Eben took...
Oh, my God. Oh, there's a couple moments that I want to mention from the new movie, and I'm not going to do it, but y'all should see it, because it's a good time. Yeah. I feel like that's everything, right? And then we just have the prologue next time.
Epilogue. But
that's the one. Epilogue.
So, you want to do a live read of the epilogue?
Really? Is it short?
It's pretty short. It's it's like 10 pages.
Okay.
So I think it merits it in terms of just like how, like, I would love to be there to hear your reaction to it.
Okay.
I kind of like I talked to a couple of people on like the Dark Tower like Unspoiled chat that we had about this. And I think there was some talk about maybe reading this one, and I was like, this shit's way too long. And, like, the only fun parts would be, like, when Harry Potter and the lightsaber kill. It's like, you know.
Yeah, this would have been like a 2.5 hour long episode if you live read that.
But I think the epilogue might be fun.
Okay.
Just to
I
get
haven't been on the receiving end of a live read, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. Well, we'll do that for the next one then. And that's the final one of 2017 after that.
The final one of this book.
Damn. That's really does line up so nicely.
I know. I love when that happens.
Me
Makes
too.
me so happy.
Same. All right, cool. Well, sir, do you want to do your plugs?
Yeah. Y'all can find me over on the Smash Fiction podcast if you're not already listening to that. Which is the show about fictional characters getting into some kind of conflict and some real nerdy folks, including myself, arguing about whether or not they would win that conflict, and also making really terrible jokes and bad puns and shipping characters a lot. Lots of sex and swearing on the show. Be advised. I don't think I've ever said that about the show before. I might have wanted to lead with that 2 years ago.
I smell sex and swearing, yeah.
Yeah. We're actually about to release, so we just released our 4-way fire battle. Fire-themed characters. It was Roy Mustang from Full Metal Alchemist against Zuko from Avatar, against Chandra Nalaar from Magic the Gathering, against Firestar from Marvel Comics. If you know anything about me, you know which one of those characters I represented, because the New Warriors are my jam. But the next episode is going to be episode 100.
Wow. And damn, that feels like it came really fast.
Yeah, episode 100, and it also happens to be our Christmas episode. You want to talk about things lining up?
Ooh.
It's coming out on Christmas Eve. It's episode 100, and every Christmas, we do our cage match, because we love the Flophouse so much.
Yes.
So, we're actually doing a special 5 Nicolas Cage character cage match.
Oh, God.
That I am judging. And we have already recorded it, and let me just tell you, it's a ton of fun. So,
that is amazing.
If you ever wanted to find out what Smash Fiction is really all about, check out our 100th episode, which will be coming out on Christmas Eve. And then you can also find me on the Odyssey Storytelling Podcast, where I'm the host and producer of that show that comes out weekly every Friday now. And you can find me writing sometimes, not recently, but sometimes, over at universesofthemind.com, where I occasionally, not recently, but occasionally, write about Hugo-winning science fiction. So, yeah, go over there, and if you like what you read, catch up, and then be patient with me, because I'm working on it. It's been crazy, y'all. We had Thanksgiving, and right after Thanksgiving, I went to Seattle for PodCon, which was great. And but it's I was gone for 10 days, and before that I was gone for a week, and it's just it's been insane. I haven't had the time. I'm doing it.
It's fine. It's chill out, relax. It's fine. It's tough at this time of year. I went on my trip, I came back, and I felt great the first day when you and I recorded, and then I got sick. I got thrown on my ass for a week. Then we had the Christmas party, and I felt good enough the 2 days before that to just clean and cook my ass off, and just about was feeling better. And then I overdid it and got thrown back on my ass, and I spent yesterday the whole day practically in bed. And I'm just really glad that I'm only recording 3 days a week until 2017. Because I have fucking needed the rest and the extra time. It's hard this time of year, how much winds up piling up.
That's very true. But anyway, it's coming, guys. It's coming. I'm working on stuff. I got your back.
All right. Are you good?
I'm good.
Because I wanted to announce everybody that we have the book club list for 2018.
Woo!
I'm pretty excited about it, and it seems like I've gotten a lot of really good feedback from people who are interested in everything that I've got good vibes on it. So,
can I ask you a real quick book club related question?
Okay.
Did you see the trailer for the Ready Player One movie?
Yes.
Is that anything like Ready Player One?
It is.
Okay.
But only from the trailer. Like, there's a whole weird little subplot thing that I really wish they would do, because it's an amazing commentary on, like, our system today with the credit in the, like, basically indentured servitude. But I don't think they're going to do that, which I think is a huge shame and a missed opportunity.
I have not finished. I've started reading that book, but I haven't gotten very far in it.
I think you'll really like that part in particular also.
Yeah, I'm trying to get there. The opening, honestly, did not grab me.
It's the kind of book that people criticize and hate, and I 100% understand all of the criticism it gets. I really get especially why women don't like it. But I fucking enjoyed the shit out of that book.
All right,
like,
well,
it's sometimes certain things are just so much fun that I can't even get as mad as I want to be about things that would otherwise really tick me off. And this was a book that did that, where I was
I saw the trailer and I was like, well, that didn't seem like what the book I started reading was about, but maybe.
Yeah, it will get there. Like, how far into it are you?
Oh, dude, like not even
a quarter or
no,
okay.
No, I'm like a chapter.
Okay, then yeah, because it gets pretty wild.
Anyway,
but yeah, guys, you should listen to that episode, because I covered it with Money, who Money can be really hard to please sometimes, and he loved that book also, which I wasn't sure how he'd feel about it. Nice. So it was basically. It was kind of funny because we both start the episode and we're like, did you love this book? Because I loved this book. And we're both like, I love this book. And then we shit all over it for like an hour. Despite both having said that we loved it, we criticized the hell out of it. And then at the end we were like, yeah, so it was really good.
That's beautiful.
Like, it was really something.
All right, well, now I have to read that. But anyway, the next book club list, go.
All right, so January, The We Free Men by Terry Pratchett.
That's a good one.
February for Black History Month. Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race by Rennie Edo Lodge. Right. We Free Men, I think I'm going to be hosting with Bitches. No Longer Talking to White People About Race. Rashawn was like, hello, that's for me.
Hi. Yeah, for sure.
For March, Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton.
Okay, it's a good
which
book.
Has been claimed by Money.
Okay.
April is The Book Thief, which is by Marcus Zusak, and that has been.
They made a movie out of that.
Yeah, they did. I think it's Jeffrey Rush is in that. I love him. I haven't seen the movie though, but that one got claimed by Jamie. May is A Dirty Job by Christopher Moore. Nobody's claimed that yet.
Ooh,
you want to?
Book. I mean, I might. Let me see. I
check the co-hosts group, because I put it in there for people to comment to claim stuff. Right. June is Atrocity Archives by Charles Stross. July is Eleanor and Park by Rainbow Rowell. Rowell? August is Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman.
Oh, has somebody claimed that?
I don't remember. You'll have to check.
Where's my fucking phone?
September is The Dead Zone by Stephen King, which has been claimed by Alan. October is Dead Until Dark by Charlaine Harris. November is The Martian by Andy Weir. And December is The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. I hope I'm saying that right, because that is an odd spelling that I'm not familiar with. But yeah, so We Free Men, No Longer Talking to White People About Race, Jurassic Park, The Book Thief, A Dirty Job, Atrocity Archives, Eleanor and Park, Neverwhere, The Dead Zone, Dead Until Dark, The Martian, and The Last Wish. Right, that is our 2018 lineup.
I just called dibs on Neverwhere in all caps. Because I fucking love that book. And, yeah, I fucking love that book. And also there's a 6-episode miniseries, so...
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I really need to, like, make a special thing where I just watch all the movies for all the books that I've done. You know what I mean? Because I haven't watched any of them. And I think out of the 12 books I covered this year, I think 9 of them have films. If not more, like they're almost all of them had a movie made. So I kind of want to sit down and just have a day where I like watch all of them.
Well, what's interesting about Neverwhere is that the show actually came first.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Because this was when Gaiman was doing a lot of television, and so he put the 6-episode miniseries together, and like he didn't quite have the budget, and like there were certain things they couldn't do, and it like didn't turn out quite the way he wanted it to. He wasn't happy with it, so he novelized it.
Okay.
And the novel's fucking great, and I love it with all my heart.
Aw.
Also, there's a really great radio play with James McAvoy and what's her name? Who played Marjorie Tyrell?
Oh, Natalie Dormer?
Natalie Dormer, yes.
James McAvoy has a voice and a half, so
Yeah.
I bet that is really good.
It's really good. Anyway, I'll stop geeking out about Neverwhere now. I've claimed it. It's mine. See you in August.
But yeah, I'm excited about this list because it seems like everybody, like I've gotten a really good response to it, whereas the book club list for this year, I got kind of like a lukewarm response on a lot of stuff. And I think this looks like it'll inspire people a little bit more, so that's good. Lots of votes. Like I think there were over 100 for the Book Thief. I think Book Thief and Neverwhere were by far the two highest voted.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, that's what's coming up. And reminder to all of you that I will be picking up the Orphan Black series with Maggie, because I had been doing it with Owen. We did the first 3 seasons and some change. But his schedule is so fucking impossible to work with that I finally was like, babe, do you mind if I finish this with someone else? Because we just can't seem to make this happen. And he was finally like, yeah, I think that's better. So I'm going to be rewatching it before 2017, or not really before 2017, because basically I'm finishing Twin Peaks with Maggie before I start on Orphan Black. Okay. And it doesn't look like the Twin Peaks is going to line up completely with the ending of 2017. But it won't be a patrons only show. Orphan Black is out there for anybody to listen to. So if you want to get caught up with where we are as of now, where it's just me and Owen talking about it, go ahead and give that a listen. And then from the point on that you get to, if you're still in 2017, it's going to be me and Maggie. So that should be fun. And I'm going to be doing Westworld with Rashawn after we finish Prisoner of Azkaban reread. We're going to take a little break from the Harry Potter recovering and do Westworld, because there's only 1 season of it. Potentially we might do the 2nd season if it's out in time. It's tough to know when the timing is going to line up, because I don't think they have an official release date. I think they just said like spring of 2018. So we may be able to do seasons 1 and 2, but then after that, when we begin to pick Harry Potter back up again, the rest of the reread is going to be patrons only. So if you have been liking our recovering of that, you're going to want to become a patron, and it will be available to $1 and up. It's not going to be hidden behind a $5 tier, which I think is quite reasonable. I had somebody get a little snarky with me about it, and I was like, listen, buddy, $1 a month, you can afford it. It's fine.
Yeah,
even I can afford that, and I'm broke as hell. So that's everything that's coming up, I think. Lots of new stuff and changes and yada yadas. All right, anything you want to add, sir? I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Are there any new patrons?
Oh, there it is. See, I've been so out of fucking practice with not recording as often that I totally have not been on my game with that. So I'm super out of practice. So I almost forgot to say hi to new patrons. So let me do that right now. These past 2 weeks, new patrons are Wallace Baker, Maria Bruce, Stacy D, Jackson Bocus, Jennifer McDonald, Carola Paredes, Alana P, and I think that's everybody. Yeah, I think that's everybody. So welcome to all of you guys. Thank you so much for pledging.
Nice.
Delighted to have you.
Hi, everybody.
And we got 1 new review. Let's see. Oh, actually, we got a few new reviews.
Oh, sweet.
5 stars from Kin Dion 81 from the U.S. Perfect compliment to the books.
Aw.
I'm so glad I stumbled onto Unspoiled. I started reading the Dark Tower series when the movie was released. It's been great to listen along as I read through the series. Thank you, Kim Dion.
Thank you.
Madeline61496 from the U.S. 5 stars. Amazing. I have been listening to your podcast since the start of Wolves of the Calla. I absolutely love listening to your thoughts. Y'all sometimes pick up on things I've completely missed. Now that I've passed you in the book, I'm listening from the beginning, and a refresher of the old books is super helpful. Keep it up, XOXO, Madison. Thank you, Madison.
Yeah.
Trek Girl 88 from the U.S. says 5 stars, the best. I found Unspoiled when I searched iTunes for a podcast on the Dresden Files. I love the premise of one person knowing how the story goes and the other doesn't. Then I saw that Unspoiled covers so many more of my favorite book series. I was in at Dresden, but the Dark Tower, Harry Potter, and a monthly book club covering some of my favorite books. I can't even describe how delightful it is to follow Natasha's discovery of Roland, Eddie, Susanna, and Jake while Miles tap dances around her speculations.
And oi.
And oi. True, we don't hear anything about him in this
We
one.
didn't even mention about him in this chapter because he just got left behind.
Aww.
Anyway.
So thank you, Trek Girl. And lastly, this one's a great name. 5 stars from the U.S. Awesome in all the right places by Dragon's Blood Curry from the United States. Your podcast is a great dose of literature with a dash of shenanigans. I love how you take, right? Only a little bit. I love how you take a topic and put your soul into it. Keep up being awesome, and I will continue to listen. Much love. Aw, that's delightful. Some of those were from back in August, so I just have not been checking consistently.
Wow.
So sorry to those of you who left reviews ages ago and have been like, she hasn't read it, because that's my bad. But it was a nice surprise to check it and have 5 new ones or 4 new ones, so that's always welcome. So we're at 32 reviews now. Yay! Nice. All right, I think that is everything, right? We're good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, well, I know that you are Jewish, but Merry Christmas, nevertheless, because for me, Christmas is not about Christianity at all.
I mean, yeah, for me, Hanukkah isn't about Judaism, and it's the last night of Hanukkah as we record this.
Oh, is it?
So, happy Hanukkah.
All right. Am I getting a pen that's also a clock or something?
Oh, fuck no. Nobody's getting shit from me this year. I'm broke as a joke.
So yeah, by the next time we record our next episode, it will be after Christmas, and we will be into that awful period where you're desperately trying to get your life back together before the new year closes in on you and reminds you of your mortality.
Yeah.
So
Can't
good luck,
wait.
everybody. All right. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week with the final chapter as a live read. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.
That was an Unspoiled Network podcast.